All right, so we're going to get started with C500, and I've got one sell position for now. So I'm just going to quickly explain the setup which I have. So looking at M15, I'm looking at these equal highs at the top here. So this was yesterday's setup. I thought they were going to retest this area and sell, but they didn't. At the same time, they are not showing signs of continuing to push up because there's no higher high here. So I feel like they could potentially reverse or at least give a short-term sell today. So looking at today's high, I'm looking at this level here. So I mentioned 38.80 is a safe sell. So they came on 38.80 right here and active in this trade. So the reason why I think it could play either way or they could go sideways is because from yesterday's session you will notice that they are within this high here from December, right? That's where they tapped into yesterday and we sold. So today again they tapped into the same area. So it's either they're preparing to do a reversal, which means today might just be sideways, or they could actually give a good reversal today, which is also possible. But at the same time, price can still be bullish because if you notice, I've got a point of interest at the top here, and we are actually bullish if you look at the daily. So just be open for price to go either way on this one. So dropping down to H4, safe sell on H4 would be when price comes below this low here. That's from a higher time frame perspective, and this level can also work as a take profit if this sell happens. So we're looking at 38, 38, 38, 35. So 38, 35 is a point of interest for either a safe sell if price comes down. They'll definitely be coming here, or a take profit for this particular sell which we're in. So dropping down again to H1, as you see a peak and order block here. The only thing which hasn't happened here is to get a good close below our peak. Price actually just spiked it. So that means they might still want to trap or create equal highs or just a pattern like they did yesterday. If you notice, I think when we had the Zoom yesterday, price was here and we had a runner which was taken out. They extended the high, then gave us another entry. So today they can potentially do the same thing. So also just keep that in mind. So if we drop down to M15, here we just wait. We just wait and see what they want to do. We are currently right on the line because here is the 50 EMA, right? So we're right on the line. It's either price will push upwards, either price will come down. So that runner helps us not to miss the trade. And if it's a loss, it helps us to manage the loss to keep it small. So for now, I think that's my only view. I'll keep checking it as we do the Zoom to see if we can actually get a nice sell. So again, yesterday I thought they would actually come hit the 200 EMA, of which they didn't. So they can still potentially come and hit it today. So we'll keep stoking on this. It's not yet a high probability for now as well. It's still low probability until price closes below the broken order block, which would be around this area here. So if you get a close below 38.80 again, I would still consider edging. Here only sold because price had come below, but we didn't get the close. So if they do come and close below again, it will become a high probability and we're going to end and we'll target the 200 EMA, which is around 38, I'll say 38.60. That will be about 30 pips. Then we'll also target 38.35 as take profits. So that's my current view for C5 at the moment. C1 yesterday, we were stalking on it, just waiting for it to break a level so that we could sell. But if you notice, no level was broken. They faked out here but they didn't close below our zone and they continued extending the highs. So let's see what the daily chart has got. So daily rejecting off the 13 EMA. So this could actually be a retracement for price to continue pushing down. So I would say if we can get a sell pattern here, okay, I'm not sure if my chart is visible. I hope it's visible. All right, if we can get a sell setup, then we can proceed to execute. So for now, this would be the order block I'm interested in. And I would love to wait to see price breaking. Let me rather use this. Okay, for a high probability sell, we'll have to execute when price comes below 2470. That will be the safest sell because it's a 4-hour order block. It's this order block here which would have been broken. So I'll be looking for a very good sell there. But for early entries now, let's see here we have a peak. We don't have an order block. Drop down to M30. Peak tiny order blocks, which we can't really use. Looking at M15 now. So from M15, you'll notice that after this peak was created, this was the order block, right? So I'll say this could be a setup in motion, and we've already missed the perfect entry, which would have been right here. So this is a break and a retest of a zone. So price looks like it's continuing to push down, retest of this zone again. So if we break this level here, I would love to take a sell. As soon as we break is this the current low? It looks like it's the current low or is today's open price. It's right about on the same area on today's open price or the current low, which you can see on M15. So as soon as we break here, I'm looking for a short-term sell initially here, then price might retrace. So if they do drop, I'm looking to just take a quick sell. Then if they retrace, I'll be looking to add. Then this is the 4-hour zone. Remember, we've got a 4-hour zone here around 2470. So that will also work as a target, as a take profit. And we'll just see how price reacts when it gets here. But for now, this setup is already in motion. And if we break 25.55, that's my entry. As soon as we break here, 25.55, that will be my entry. And let me just check the pips. Going to the 200, it's 50 pips. That means this trade is worth it. So we'll risk 25 pips to make 50. So it's a 1:2 risk to reward ratio on C300. So that's my current view there. So I'll just be jumping to C5 just to see how it's going, because we also want to jump on it if it decides to go our way. Okay, all right. So going to the next one, C1, C1 decided to be bullish yesterday. If you notice, I ran a fib from this high to this low, so I was looking at a retracement and a continuation. So what happened is I saw this price coming into my fib area, coming into my resistance, and I saw them do this move. So when I dropped down to a smaller time frame, I marked my order block right here, and I was waiting for a break. So I got distracted here. I couldn't see this. Otherwise, I would have scalped this. So when I came there, it spiked here, and I was like, you know what? Entering here was going to be a risk of about 20 pips going back to the order block. So I couldn't hold 20 pips at that time. So I decided to wait to get another retest. So when they came here, I noticed, okay, these guys are actually not retesting. So I did not execute on this one. This is also an example of a failed setup. So it was a continuation pattern. Price lined up with the fib. We had an order block, but it failed to follow through. So looking at it today, it looks like it's bullish, but let me just confirm. Okay, so price, what I see here is price might decide to do this. If you notice, they took out liquidity on the daily chart by this spike yesterday, so they might want to come back up into the zone here. So C5, I won't be active. I won't be active until price gets to 59.30. Between 59.20 and 59.30. Those are my points of interest for a possible sell. It could be short term, it could be long term, but that's where I'll start actively looking for a setup. So this one, I'm just going to leave it on the daily chart for now. Yeah, I'll just leave it on the daily because even on the H1, you can see we are now above the 50 EMA, meaning that this price could be delivered to the top side. They could sell, but I want you to pay attention to this level we have here. So if they do sell, they might just sell to here, then continue pushing up. So that's one other view. But otherwise, I won't really be active on this until we get to a point of interest. Same applies to B1. B1, we're stalking it here during our Zoom. They decided to come lower to the EMA. And I think this was my safe buy area. So if you notice, they came above, they actually gave the buy, which was about, let's see, which was about 50 pips. Then from there, they started pushing down, continuing with the sells. So today, I don't really have anything solid as well on B1000. So as long as an asset is trading against the direction which I trade in, I usually don't pay attention to it. So if you check, you can see we have so much rejections here. This price can continue being bearish. So until we come back above the 13 EMA, I don't think I'll have anything on B1. So B1 today, I do not have anything. And unless the daily candle turns green. If the daily candle turns green at some point, then I might look forward to maybe scalp a short-term buy. BB 500, they came, extended the low, almost equal lows yesterday. So from this low, this was my safe entry right here. It only happened at around 3 a.m. today, and it did play out, but I was sleeping here, so I didn't take it. And again, B5, we've been anticipating a possible reversal. If you notice, price slowed down. For the past 3 days, there hasn't been any momentum. So I'm anticipating at least a retracement because we've been literally pushing up for quite a long time. So in terms of a buy setup on this one, I do not think I have anything, especially with this price action on H4. So B5 for me is a no-go area because there is nothing clean for me there. Then J10, yesterday, I think I was looking at a sell because I remember scalping a sell here. But soon as price created this low, I noticed a baseline bounce here and I knew this price would react. I didn't get into the buy, but this was a good buy setup with a nice breaker here, safe sell above here. Early entries in here would still have been fine because of this confirmation. So today, let's see. I still feel price is pushing up to that gray zone, which you see. So the same view we had a few days ago, it's what I still anticipate could happen. So they can potentially remain bullish. So let's see if I can get an entry here. From this peak or from this low here, this would be my order block. So I'll be looking for something like this. That's the first thing. If I run a fib from this low to this high, you see that my 50 level retracement and my 38.2 is right on top of this. So this will be a support zone for me. So if we can come a little bit lower and bounce here, then I'll be looking forward to actually execute a buy here. So if you go to H1, you see that that level is lining up with the 50 EMA. And we also have a demand zone here. So if price can come back a little bit lower and create a new pattern here, then we can consider buys. So as long as they respect this area, J10 will continue being bullish. So that's my current setup for today. I'll leave this one on H1. If you're on H1 on J10, just mark this order block, this whole order block you see here. That's the zone right there. So we'll wait for a pattern on a smaller time frame, but we'll leave it on H1 so that we can see the reversal candle clearly here. So C5 is still promising. We're still waiting for a close below here. So that's my current trade. If you have noticed from last week, I think I've only been trading only C5. Last week it was C5 and B1. This week it's mainly C5. It's the one which has only been showing me clearer setups. Then going to V2501S, I didn't execute on this. Let's see, what was I looking at here? Okay, so yesterday when I was looking at it during the Zoom, we were bullish. That was our trend. So since we were bullish, we saw this impulsive move, a retracement. We saw another impulsive move, and this was my zone here. So I ran a fib just from here to here to get a retracement. The only reason I didn't take this trade is for some reason, I wanted price to get into this area, into the 50 area here. But if you notice, they just stopped just above the 38.2. So for me, the retracement wasn't valid enough to be active. But the setup played out at the end of the day. They just continued being bullish. They actually, from this point, they actually accelerated. So this was going to be a good trade if they had tapped into this gray zone here. But they didn't. So that was a miss from my side. I'm not sure if anybody managed to catch that one. So looking at it today now, what do I see? All right, yesterday I had mentioned this point of interest on H4 as a liquidity area, and we had this zone, I think, on yeah, it was H4. So let me actually go to the particular time frame. We had this high here, and I knew this price was coming to take liquidity. That's the first thing. Second thing is I had a fair value gap here, and I also knew this price was coming here. That's why I was very keen on buying. The buy was high probability. It's just that it didn't come into my point of interest for me to execute. So I ended up missing it. But as you can see, it pushed into that zone. They actually came all the way up to this fair value gap here and tapped into it. So for now, what could happen? Two things can happen. Price could now continue pushing down, or this uptrend can actually continue coming up here. So what I'll do is I'll remove the zone which wasn't respected. Then I'll mark up this high at the top. We also have liquidity above here. We also have a point of interest here. So the reason why I'm using these two, let me just explain. So this ultimate high here, obviously there's liquidity there. This one, I'm using it because that's the close of the candlestick bodies. If you change your charts to a line chart, that should be where the price trend is. You can see in terms of a line chart, this is the point of interest. But if you're using candlesticks, liquidity can simply lie on top here. So price can respect this, or price can respect this. Two things. So that's why I'm marking those as points of interest. So for me to sell this particular asset, price has to break this level. So remember, this is now a demand zone. Price can still respect this for a buy. But if they do break it, then I will know for sure that the sales are continuing. So this is a demand zone for buys, order block, impulsive move up. So I'd love to keep my chart on H4 and just wait for price to either come here or for price to come up here. I'll also remove this line here because it was violated. Okay, so my points of interest are this particular order block on H4, which is a demand zone, and this two levels here. So within here, I do not have any setup until price comes here or at the top side. So I'm going to leave this particular one on H4, and we'll just keep stalking to see how the price decides to move here. Then going to step, I recently added it. I actually added it as a request of a good friend. He requested we add step. So we added step, we analyzed it all the way. If you watched yesterday's session, so we agreed that we were on a downtrend. That was the first thing. So price impulsively pushed, created a lower high here, impulsively pushed, created a lower low here. So what I did is I just ran a fib from this high to this low. This was during the Zoom. So I had 3 points of interest, or rather 2, I think. So let me just zoom in a bit so that it can be clear. So I was looking forward to this low here. You see this red line within here. That was my first point of interest. And I was looking at the 50 and 61.8% fib retracement. And here we had an order block. So if you notice, price came right into our point of interest. They hit 50, 61.8, and they threw a pin bar or a doji right into our zone. So as soon as we saw this, we actually executed this right here. And I had sell stops. Let me check where my sell stops were. I had also sell stops at which price did I use here? I think I used this week for sell stops, because I also wanted to scale into this trade. So what happened is we were active in this trade somewhere here or somewhere here. Then they actually activated the sell stops. Then they pulled back, came in profit, pulled back all the way back to the entries as well, because the entries were right in here. Then from there, the price just dropped. This particular trade, I shared it in the result, I shared it in the group. So again, the target for this particular trade, I might have made a mistake when I said we are setting all-time lows. I just need to confirm. But if you notice, this was our take profit target. That's where price just came. Nice entry, nice reaction. If you went through the candlestick trading Bible, this is one of a text. There's a textbook entry whereby price is trending. They retrace and we use a fib and we get a pin bar as a confirmation. This was a clean setup and price continued dropping. So sometimes you might use this as your order block, since this was the peak here. So looking for a safe sell would have happened here early hours. So like there's many ways to attack these markets, or you could have used this level here. So price broke, you could have sold here with your stop loss above this zone. Then price retraced, didn't take you out, still played out. So there were many ways to enter this particular setup. So today, how am I looking at step? So let me go back to the daily. Okay, yeah, like you said, I think they will still set all-time lows. We did set all-time lows today with the current low of the day, but there's a high probability price can still come and actually induce more sellers. Then they might push it back up. So I would say I'm still leaning on sells, but let me see if the higher time frames are in alignment. So what you notice on this particular price action, again, from this peak at the top here, this was the order block, right? Retested. So if you notice the pattern I use on M15, you can still apply it on higher time frames. You just need to understand what your price is doing. So this was the safe sell, rejecting this order block here. They left a supply zone here, which was retested by this candle here. Then they left another supply zone here. So I would say that is my point of interest for sales today. So let me just use a line. So this last green candle on H4, you just mark the low, and you can also mark the high, but the low will be the point of interest. So if this price retraces up into this area and they give us a reversal candle on H1, then we can look for a pattern on M15. So I would say this is my point of interest, and I'll just leave this on this particular time frame. So just for people to understand how price moves, you see there's liquidity below this area. Price comes and taps into it. They don't trigger any sells here, and they just push up. So the dealer knows they sell stops here, they sell stops here. So that's the reason of this week. So if you're in this trade, you have to understand that for every level which price leaves, that's where liquidity lies. So anyone who was selling here with a sell stop has been taken out by the pullback. And anyone who wants to buy this, if they don't understand where price is going, if you buy here, then price can simply then continue. So they will kill the sellers, then they'll kill the buyers, then the price continues. Basically, that's how it moves. So for now, we'll just wait for price to come into our potential supply zone. If you look at it from H1 point of view, the points of interest we have from H1 would be yesterday's lows. So again, now we have 2 points of interest. We've got yesterday's lows, which will act as a flip zone or as a resistance. And we've got the supply zone just above that level. So anywhere from here to here to even here, those are my points of interest for a continuation sell. The reason why they might come up, this is a worst case scenario. It will just be price extending the high and inducing buyers. So again, there's buy stops here. So if they come above here, they will just be inducing buyers, and they will then take them out by pushing back down. So those are the 3 points of interest I have on stop. We have the resistance from yesterday's lows. We've got this line, which is the 4-hour supply zone. Also bear in mind that the extension of today's high also falls within the 4-hour candle supply zone, because it's a big zone. That whole candle, if you mark it as a rectangle, it's a whole zone where price can react. So the only thing we wait for is H1 to give us a rejection candle anywhere within this area. We look for a pattern on M15, then we execute. So that's my view on step. I think I've touched on everything. The only thing we do now is wait. If you see B1, B5 looks like it wants to sell. So this one, I'm definitely staying away from it. I don't think I've executed a trade in B5 in a while now. I think from here, you can see where my charts are actively marked. That's where I was actively stalking. But as soon as they started showing me funny price action, I just stopped trading it. So that's all for today. I think the only setup I have for now is C5. So I'll just want to see what they do. If they come above here, I might consider closing my runner, which I have just to manage my loss. But this zone is still very valid for a sell. If you notice, they're actually struggling to break it. They've been hitting it 1, 2, 3 times now, and they've been on the same zone for 1, 2, 3, 4, for almost 2 hours on the same zone. That shows two things. It's either they will just fake out and they'll push up, or they'll really give a good big move. Those are the two scenarios here. So we'll just keep managing this. But if they do come back above here, if they violate this high, we cut lows, we wait for them at the top here. If they decide to extend the high, then we'll just wait for a new setup. We'll just attack it the same way we did yesterday. So again, yesterday we had an order block here, we had an order block here. So they did come down, but they came back up to the high. Induced buyers took out liquidity, then they sold. So if the same thing happens today, you already know what to do. You just know if price does what we explained, all you have to do is execute. So that's it from me today. I don't know if there's any questions, additions, subtractions. You can still WhatsApp me if you've got any questions, or send me a message in the Telegram group. That's still fine. I'll respond. And if there's something else you want us to look at, you can just let me know, and we'll try to add it onto the watch list So B5, if we don't have any setup on B5 this week, it will be finding its way out of my watch list because I don't want to have many things here. I will end up removing it, I think so, but we'll just see how the week goes. So apart from that, that's all from me today. Wishing you a good trading day, good trading.